The cloud. Here we go. So welcome everyone. Today is Tuesday, October 6th, and we're having our workshop, How to Play Monopoly with Real Estate Workshop. And the reason why we called it this is because simply put, that's what it is. You know, I always say life's a game. Real estate is for sure a game. And I found myself playing Monopoly. I haven't played since a long time ago, but found myself playing Monopoly in Seattle earlier this year, and it was interesting because I whooped everyone's ass. As soon as I got onto the first property, I just started buying, and to my surprise, people I was playing with, they're landing on real estate, but they just weren't buying. They were like, "Oh no, I want a better property," and then they would just hold off, and I'm thinking like, "What?" But again, I hadn't played since I was a kid. All I knew is like, if they land on a certain square, they're paying me rent, and that's what I was after. So I ended up just crushing everyone really bad. It was funny. I was laughing. Nobody else was laughing. But anyways, that's the title of our workshop, How to Play Monopoly with Real Estate. And today I'm going to introduce just some high-level ideas, some general ideas of really how to create real estate wealth by investing in real estate. And anyone can do it. I found myself reading this book. I don't know how many times I read it. I'm sure I read it at least 2 or 3 times throughout the years, but it's called The Automatic Millionaire Homeowner. It's a really good book. Some of that, so the way that I came up with this, the concept for this workshop is, you know, I started accumulating real estate. I started buying real estate in 2005. I think 5 was the first time that I bought some real estate. But back then, you know, I didn't have any mentors that really guided me. So the whole name of the game was to flip, to assign, to wholesale, and it was cool. You know, I was doing assignments, wholesaling. You know, I bought my mom, you know, nice jewelry, bought myself some good, cool stuff. None of which it all lasted. So in 2010. My story, 2010 ish, I kind of looked around and I was like, man, what do I have? You know, what I have? You know, I had some money in the bank just because, you know, I was just okay with saving. I wasn't the greatest saver, but I was okay. But other than that, I mean, I had a bunch of clothing, a bunch of shoes, a bunch of possessions that if I tried to sell, I wouldn't get much for that in return, and when I compare it to the same amount that I paid for it. So, you know, I always knew about asset, not always, but, you know, I read a book when I was 18, 19, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So that's kind of when I first realized, okay, there's assets, there's liabilities. But no one's ever really walked me through it and said, hey, this is what you should be doing. So in 2010, I said, you know what, I'm going to buy some investment real estate. I bought a property back then, 2009, 10-ish, fourplex. I thought it was a great deal. Bought sight unseen right here up the street in the Grant Hill area, 32nd Street. It was a mistake right off the bat. Still sitting vacant to this day, 11 years later. Just put it that way. That's the type of property that I played myself, right? I'll talk about that tomorrow, but there's a difference between getting paid and paying yourself. Well, I played myself on that one. I learned the hard way, losing $36,000 overnight. I gave that property back to the owner, just cut them a check, said thanks. And then from there, you know, I was kind of like a little bit cold feet, right? I got scared. And then I came back a couple of years later, started buying real estate. And then I read this book. I forgot if I read it earlier in my career or not, but it finally clicked. And I was like, shoot, the stuff that I've been doing, this is what the book describes. And I said, well, this is some good stuff. So I should definitely put it into a workshop. And that's how kind of this workshop was created. And then what I started doing is I started looking at my clients. You know, I've helped a lot of people buy and sell homes throughout the years. I started looking at them and saying, wow, they built their wealth with the same concepts, whether they knew it or not. And most people that end up with multiple properties, like myself at first, I didn't really know, I guess, the concepts that we're going to go over right now. So again, this workshop is to give you guys a high level view of how to do it, what other people are doing. I'm going to give real life examples of clients of that I know, friends that I know that use these methods in order to, you know, in essence, kind of set themselves up. Okay, and then we're going to go over the last example. I'll show you how I made my first million in step by step. Cool. We're all good. All right. And then also we invited Alfonso Delgadillo on the line as well. That way he could answer any of the financing questions that we may have during this time. Okay. So again, high level. We could always get into specifics later on, but let me start sharing my screen here. Here we go. Screen 2. Here we go. All right. So this is kind of when I first started the humble brag. Yeah, you know. I meant just because I said $1 million is, you know, this is all for the gram. This isn't real. All right. So here we go. So this is kind of what started. I started thinking about putting this workshop together. I was texting with, well, I met an attorney, and when I met the attorney, just going over some estate planning stuff, he says something interesting to me. He says, you know what, well, there's only 2 ways to become wealthy. You either own a business or real estate. He goes, all my clients either own businesses that shoot off cash flow or they own real estate. So I found that interesting. So I sent him a text the next day. I said, hey, good morning. What's that thing you told me? There's only 2 ways to become wealthy, owning a business or owning real estate. He says, correct. Unless you get lucky enough to win the lottery, marry rich, or inherit it. So I found that interesting, coming from someone who does estate planning for a living, looking at everyone's financial assets, what they're going to leave their kids, their family members, and how they're just going to leave a legacy for their family, right? All right, so here we go. If you're reading this, you can't retire off your day job, which I thought I could at one point. I said, when I was younger, I was like, I'll just sell a bunch of real estate. And then I sold a bunch of real estate. And I was like, okay, I'll just sell more real estate and more real estate. And you just can't, right? So even if you're selling 50 properties a year as a real estate agent, making several hundred of thousands of dollars per year, or if you're a plumber making 100 grand per year, or if you're married making $200,000 a year, you just can't retire like that. You're going to work the rest of your life. And maybe if you have a 401k and things like that, then those are called investments. But if you're just earning money and you're a high earner, that's really tough to retire that way. So there's a fallacy out there, just work harder syndrome. There's always going to be only if I double my income or only if I sell more property syndrome, right? So that's a fallacy. That's not true. So income is key. However, you need to reinvest that income to grow your wealth and retire. So you do need good income, or in this example I'm going to give you, you may not need, great income, but this is a little story, the Jack in the Box story. So I remember I was talking to a lender a few years back, and they said, hey, look at this lady. She worked at Jack in the Box for 20-something years. She rode the bus, lived very humbly, just the basics. But she ended up saving like $130,000 for a down payment to buy a house. Because I was thinking, like, she's buying a house? This is like several years ago. Like, yeah, she saved $100,000 and some to buy a house. And I'm thinking, like, oh, shoot, good for her. What I neglected to kind of realize in that moment was, she's the type of lady who just saved the money underneath her mattress. But what if she had invested that money, right? What if she had that money in the stock market or the S&P 500, 8% interest over those 20 plus years that she was saving that money? right? She would have a lot more than $130,000, right? I mean, she probably could have had, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but maybe, I don't know, $1 million, you know, over 20 something years, right? So Alfonso's saying yes, because he invests in the stock market and he knows how powerful compound interest is and how it works. And it doesn't work overnight, it works over time. So she had plenty of time to raise that. So that was one. The other story I have in regards to income is key. However, again, reinvesting that income to grow your wealth, that's how you retire. So another story is I have a good friend who's a high income earner, earns a lot more than me and over the last several years. And I remember a while back, she had, you know, we know each other's financials and stuff like that. And she was a millionaire, straight cash though. Okay. She was against investing in real estate, against investing in any stocks or anything like that. Very conservative. And I was like, man, you know, that's crazy. $1 million cash, $1 million plus cash. Anyways, I thought that was pretty cool. You know, I was doing what I was doing, which was just investing in real estate. Years passed. And then I have more money than her. Now, it wasn't because I made more money than her, not even close. I'm talking about not even close, but it was simply because I invested my money in something. You know, whatever I had, I was just investing. And that's the key to wealth. That's, you know, yeah, income is great. Saving is really good, but it doesn't beat reinvesting that income, reinvesting those savings. Does that make sense? So that was, you know, those two stories were kind of, you know, kind of like a light bulb came up. Okay. Now we'll go into some of these examples now. Okay. But real quick, this is the book I'm talking about, The Automatic Millionaire. I guess this is the updated version. The one I have is like maybe the outdated version. But if anybody wants this, if you don't have it and you want it, let me know. I'll mail you a copy. Okay. So I'm known to mail out books. I'll mail you a book if you don't have them. All right. Just shoot me a message or shoot your favorite real estate agent a message. All right. So here we go. Should I go right into, yeah, let me share it with you guys. Can you guys see this where it says BRR method? All right. So this is something that I did over the past several years. I didn't even know I was doing it. Does that make sense? I didn't even know I was doing it. Later on, when I was sitting down with somebody and they're asking me, you know, what they should do. And I was like, hey, well, I did this. Maybe you should do this too. They go, oh, that's the Burr method. And someone said, Coach Kane said, now he's bragging about how many friends he has. Yeah, you know, 2 friends that I just shot out there. Okay.
That's why you have a dog.
I love my dog. Yeah, she is a good friend of mine. So anyways, they said, oh, that's the Burr method. I said, Burr method? What's the Burr method? And they go, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. That's what you just described. And I was like, really? And I didn't even know it was a method. Okay. So I kind of just did it accidentally. So let's go over this example. Let me zoom in a little bit. See here, view. All right, here we go. Buy. So you buy your first home or investment home, right? So, and the reason why I put investment home here is because that's how I started. But there's a lot of people that I've seen and a lot of examples in this book, real life examples of people that they start off with their first house. Okay. Okay. I'm saying here, if you buy a house, it should be beat up. You know, if I was to do it all over again, my first purchase would have been a 4-plex and I would have lived in it. But that's a different story. So anyways, here's a quick example. If you buy a property for $400,000, you put $80,000 down, that's $320,000 loan amount. Okay. So again, yeah, you got to have some down payment. $80,000, unless you buy your first home and you need less, 3.5%, and again, 2 to 4 units. Don't buy a single family house. All right, so you could rehab. You don't need to go to the nines on the rehab. You know, you could do, you know, 80, 90% of like really nice stuff just to have it, you know, basic. So if you, and this was an example here in San Diego from last year when I started this worksheet. So if you buy a $400,000 job, I mean $400,000 purchase, $80,000 down payment, loan amount $320. At that point, you rent it out for $1,980, easy, San Diego. Your payment's $1,975, PITI, principal, interest, tax, insurance. So at that point, it's basically paying itself. Now you might be saying, shit, I just invested $80,000. I'm not making any money, but this is specifically for the San Diego market where you make your money over time through appreciation and equity. Okay, especially if you're younger. If you're older, maybe you might want cash flow to retire. You buy in another state. But in San Diego, if you're, you know, 40 something or under, it's okay to make your money on appreciation because you're still going to be working. You're still going to be having income coming in from your normal job. Okay. So you go in there, you remodel for $20,000 fix up, right? Now your total investment is $420. The market value, if you buy like a little fixer, it should go up, $475. I'm not saying nothing crazy. I'm just saying, okay, it's going to go up $55,000, which isn't much. Your total loan balance is $320. So let's say you wait 5 years, and what happens in San Diego usually is 3% yearly appreciation. Now your home value is $3,550. Okay, that's just 3% per year, 5 years. Again, time does the rest, right? Now you pay down your loan balance to $287 on this example. Okay, so we already went over. There's 5 steps: buy, rehab, rent. So we're on the rent thing. So the first thing is buy, then you rehab, then you rent it out, and then you refinance. Fourth step. So the banks will lend you about 75% of the loan to value of your home. So if your property is now worth $550, they'll lend you 75%. That's $412,000. The loan balance is after 5 years, right? So now you hold it for let me see, loan balance 5 years. Okay, I think I skipped a little bit, but okay. So the value of the home when you refinance, sorry, yeah. So you hold it for 5 years. The loan balance now is $287. So you refinance. So the bank will give you $412,000 on this home. Okay, that they'll actually give you that money. They'll give you that 412. So you have to pay off your 287 loan balance. So at that point, here's the math: 412 minus 287, and they'll give you $130,000. So they'll give you $125,000 base cash. Now your loan balance is a new loan balance, so it goes from 287 to 412, so it goes up. That's fine. Your new monthly payment is $2227. Now, if you're renting and you're increasing, you know, $50 a year, which you can increase more in San Diego, you'd be at $2230. So now it's just paying itself, right? It's paying taxes, insurance, principal, interest. So your property is paying itself, but you have $125,000 cash. So what you're doing is you just recouped your original $80,000 down payment. Does that make sense? So you recouped your $80,000. You have another about what is that? $45,000 to use. So you have a total of $125,000. So what you see here is that you could do this every 5 years. And again, I'm just saying, like, if you're not even into real estate, you're just like, I'm just gonna, you know, every 5 years buy a property. You could literally do this, and then you could end up with properties. And then as you become, you know, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, then you start paying down, you know, one property at a time, lower and lower, and then your appreciation goes up. So there's several ways to make money in real estate. I'm going to go into the next presentation, but you make money in real estate by rents, appreciation, inflation. Inflation is just going to happen naturally. Everything's going to go up over time, including rents, right? Tax deductions, from property taxes to cost recovery. What was cost recovery called again before? Any tax guys out there? It's the same as
Depreciation.
Depreciation. There we go. We have an accountant in the house. Ace.
I wish.
All right. So you get to depreciate an asset, right? So you get to depreciate over 27 and a half years, or 39 years for commercial. So 27 and a half years, what does that mean? That means that the IRS says, hey, if you own a house over 27 and a half years, it's going to come down. It's going to be worth $0. Because every year it's going to be worth less and less and less, and the building's going to deteriorate. Okay, that's depreciation. So every year on investment properties, you get to depreciate. Oh, so if you buy for $275,000, the house, over 27 and a half years, the IRS would say that it's worth $0. That's 10 grand a year that you get to depreciate from your taxes. So there's several ways to make money through real estate. It's not just rent. It's rent, depreciation, appreciation, inflation, and tax deductions, interest, right? So that's why the Donald Trumps of the world are able to pay $0 in taxes, because they have all this real estate and they're just, taking all these tax breaks. That's a different class for a different day. All right. Now let me share my screen.
Donald Trump's a wrong example to use.
You're right. I can't think of anybody that you and I both know that I could use that as an example. Okay, so look I'm going to share with you the first story, okay, just to show you that you don't have to make a ton of money. This is a plumber, a friend of mine, okay? He's not even a client because his wife knows a realtor and, they use him or her. But he always comes to me for advice, right? Like, hey, they're telling us to do this. Should I do it? So I kind of coached them through these 3 purchases. This is actually, this presentation, he was in the audience and we used to do it in-house. And this is the first presentation that he figured out that he was going to be a millionaire. I don't know if Alfonso, you're smiling, like, you remember that? And he was in the audience and he was just like, amongst other people, and he started seeing this example, and he's thinking like, shit, that looks like me. And then I scroll down to the end and I show how much he's going to be worth after 25 years. And he's like, oh shit, I'm going to be a millionaire. He goes home, tells his wife like, hey, we're going to be millionaires, So this is a cool example. I like this example. Real humble guy, didn't even know what he was doing. He was just like, I need a place to live, right? And that's what the book tells you, is like, hey, for the rest of your life, you need a place to live. Might as well own it, right? So his first house, 43rd Street in Killers. If you guys are from San Diego, you guys know that's the hood, right? He bought in 2013 for $223,000, little beat up, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. He needed a place to live. He's from the hood, so it was no big deal. He bought an FHA, $7,800 down. That's a gift, right? And for anybody out there that's a VA buyer, 0 down, that's, I don't even know what tops a gift, but geez, it's free money. His monthly payment was $1,250. He lived in there for 4 years. 2017, he ended up buying another house. Before he bought the house, he refinanced this one. So he refinanced it. He got a new loan of $253. His new monthly payment was $1,599. And he rented it for $2,200. So that's what's $601 positive, right? Now, with that money, when he refinanced it, who could do the math? He bought it for $223.76. So let's say his loan amount. Oh, is that what it was? Okay. So he pulled out $30,000, and then he used it as a down payment on this home. Okay. Now this one, he put $15,000 down, $15,225. He needed a bigger home. His family grew. He had kids. His monthly payment on this one, $2,850, which, he almost doubled his monthly payment. Before, his monthly payment over here was $1,250, so he did double it. So now he got into a bigger home, bigger monthly payment. By the way, $2,850, that, I think that might be old now. I think he could refinance and really drop the price on that one, right, Alfonso, I'm assuming. How much, if he refinanced that investment property right now, let's say he qualified to refinance let's just call it a $430,000 loan. How much is that monthly payment on that now? Maybe I could just adjust this right here. He's running his numbers, so let us know.
I got you. Okay, so if we understand that if he refinanced the loan for $435,000, he probably owes less right now. It's been 3 years. So his payment, I calculated, it's gonna be right around $2,400. So, you know, that is gonna adjust his cash flow to be like $500, right?
Yeah, 2,400. So that's $550 positive. So actually, the Lakers are playing right now. So he's a big Lakers fan. He couldn't make it, but because they need him. That's what he said. They need him. But on this one, he's going to be cash flowing $550. He just needs to talk to a lender, right?
Oh.
Like Alfonso, drop his price on this one. Maybe we refinance this one at the same time and get a new monthly payment. Oh yeah, he could make some moves right now. He has some equity here. This property is worth at least $450. I mean, he can make some moves right now. Too bad he's not watching. All right. House number. So okay. So then he bought it in 2017 for $435. That was a big jump for him, right? Guess what happened? His best friend lives on Angeles. A house right next door to him came on the market. So he says, I want to live next to my best friend. So 2 years later, he moved into a better neighborhood, right? Lemon Grove from Encano over here on Alvera and Euclid. Better neighborhood, bigger house, family is growing, and he bought it for $537,000. Okay, now he's buying $500,000 home. Now he went conventional 5% down, $27,000 down. Well, where did he get that money? Well, he had some money left over from the $30,000 he had over here from the first refinance. Got it? His new monthly payment is $3,289. And now he still lives there, so he hasn't made any more moves. But what I did was, hold on a second. This is about 11:51. Okay, cool. All right, so what I did was that
he can probably sell. He can probably even sell both of his houses and buy a fourplex.
Yeah, he can make some moves because look, on this house, we could just kind of just estimate it raw. We are pretty savvy, right? So on this one, he owes, where's his loan amount? Right here. Okay, so this one, the value, let's just put the equity. So how much do you think this is worth? Like at least $450, right?
At least.
Yeah, $450, so that's $200 minus some closing costs. Or how much did he put?
$460, and then you can do the math. It's like $200,000.
Equity. So that's equity. We don't know how much he could pull out yet. Hold on, let me highlight this screen. Muy interesting, actually. I'll be like, dude, you gotta take me to some coffee or something. Hold on, I'm putting you up on some game right here. Not using me though. Hold on, let me see. Which is fine. Let me see, it's the homie. So right here, his new loan amount, $435 minus $15,000, so that's $420. Let's just go with the old loan amount. So this one on Alvera, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, around the hill. I think it has some views. I mean, that one's worth at least $510.
Go 520.
Right? So $520.
Yeah, that's easy.
So
That's
yeah, so that's $100K in equity. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, we're counting his money right now. All right. Now, and by the way, again, he's a plumber. Okay. His wife, you know, she works too, but you know, she's been having a couple of children, so she's not working as much.
And he's working
Okay.
with these big
What's
of $3,200 a month. He's working a lot of hours.
Yeah, for real. Well, actually, he took maternity or paternity leave, you know, for the last 3 months. They had a baby, so he's been kind of chilling. All right, so now let's go to house number 3, where he lives right now, $537. He bought it, 5% down. You know, in theory, he has $1,100 after paying off the mortgage, taxes, insurance. And then, you know, things pop up, toilets, trash, tenants. So let's say even this breaks even. Let's just say he spends $1,100 a month, which hard to see on expenses, but you know, at least he has 2 properties that are paying for themselves. He has $300,000 in equity today on these 2. This one on Angeles in Lemon Grove, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, nice, really nice street. I mean, that's what, 615 or something?
625.
What are they going for? 625. So let's just call this one 90,000 in equity. Yeah, it's a nice house. He went and showed it to me. Took me along while his realtor showed the house. Let me see. All right. All right. So right now we're counting his money, right? 390,000 in equity.
390,000
Now,
in equity.
yeah. So now one thing that this book teaches, right, is how to, pay off your mortgage in 25 years. Okay. Sorry, 23 years. Sorry, 23 years. Very simple. Okay. I'm going to share with it. And the reason why I'm going into this right now is because I want to share with you where my numbers came from. Okay. So this book has gems. So all it says is this: instead of paying your mortgage every month, one payment, you pay it every 2 weeks. So if your monthly mortgage payment, you guys can see my mouse, right?
Yeah.
If your monthly mortgage payment is $2,000 a month, right here it says 1995.91, right? So let's call it $2,000. Instead of paying $2,000 a month, that's 12 payments a year. You pay out half of that bi-weekly, right? So you just split it in half. So what you're doing there is you're paying less interest over time. So if you do go the traditional way of making just monthly payments for 30 years, you pay $418,000 in right here, $418,000 in interest over 30 years. If you just break your payment in half and you pay bi-weekly, you only pay $311,000 over 30 years.
And the
Does
reason
that make sense?
The reason
Go ahead.
that, if I may jump in, Voltaire, the reason that is, guys, is because on a mortgage, the interest is daily compound interest. So today you owe $1. Tomorrow you owe $1.01. So now they're taxing the interest rate on $1.01. So over 30 days, it accumulates. It's growing, right? Compound interest. So by you throwing a payment in there bi-weekly and paying down some of the principal, you're slowing down the growth of that interest. So because of that, on average, you guys will pay off your home in literally 3 years faster. 23 years, you can pay off that mortgage, and it'll save you what? $117,000 of interest just by simply doing that in 7 years.
Yeah. So check this out. I'm gonna share with you the next slide. So
Well,
you
let
see
me
how
ask you this. Let me ask you this. How do you do this now? So let's say your mortgage payment is due on the 1st. It's late on the 16th. So how would you do that?
So you pay it on the 1st, Coach.
You pay
Yeah.
Full
So
payment
let's say
first.
it's 2,000. So you pay 1,000 on the 1st.
So you can only do that whenever you've made your first mortgage payment, okay? You make your entire mortgage payment. Well, the next payment's not due till the following.
Right. So then you make half the payment. And then
Half a payment early. Half a payment early, correct.
So you have to get a one payment, almost like one payment ahead.
Yeah, you're making half a mortgage payment 15 days early than is due.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. The other answer is what I did, and what the bank also recommends is you call your bank. Okay, every bank is going to have a different program if available. I have a bank right now on 2 different properties where they're allowing me to pay weekly, dude. I don't know what that's going to do. Yeah, weekly, okay? So my payment, yeah, so I'm paying like $400 a week on one, and then the other one, something similar. So I don't know what that's going to do to my actual, interest saved and how long I'm gonna pay off that, but I'm assuming fast. It's crazy. Yeah. So they have a program, which is cool.
That's awesome. I never heard of that. You're probably gonna pay it off in 18 years.
Yeah, something like that. So I have those 2 properties like that, and then I have another one that allow me to do biweekly, and then I think a couple other ones said no, like we don't have any programs for you, but I could do what you just suggested, which is just send in half the first, half the 14th or whatever, and then just do it that way.
You got to remember, the banks are in for the interest, so they don't want you to really do that. That's why you don't hear so much of it. But even if they don't have a program, guys, you guys still mail them the check on the 5th, on the 13th. It gets on the 15th. They have to cash a check, so you can still do it on your own or set automatically by weekly payments. Or like Voltaire, that's phenomenal that they let you do it weekly. But the banks don't want to promote it because they want to get paid on the premiums. That's why.
Now, I also heard that if you make one extra payment a year, Alfonso, what does that do to your mortgage?
It'll save you about 4 to 5 years. Yeah.
So is that almost the same as doing a bi-weekly then?
Bi-weekly is like 7 to 8 years, coach. Everybody says about 7, but in reality, in most cases, you're pushing closer to 9 years paying off your mortgage faster by doing that bi-weekly. By throwing an extra payment a year to your principal reduction, it's about 3 to 5 years.
Got it. Thank you.
And the only, I think, caveat to that is you should be able to do it with any type of loan that does not have a prepayment penalty, right? Correct?
Yeah. It's just some mortgage companies, once again, they kind of want to push you away from doing it, but you can still mail them the check. They can't stop.
You can, right? Like if there's no prepayment penalty, they may tell you we don't like that for the exact reason that you've outlined. But if I set up my payments to go out once a week, even what Voltaire mentioned, which is I think genius. I never thought about that.
You put hey, my loan number, my account, boom, they have to cash a check, but they'll fight you on it. But yeah, they can.
That's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, and prepayment penalties are like a thing of the past. I haven't heard about prepayment penalties, since before the crash.
Thanks for reminding me that I'm old, Voltaire. I appreciate it.
You just been out the game for a long time, man. You ain't old. All right. So check this out. The left column is doing monthly payments. The right column is doing biweekly. So you can see on year 23 here at the bottom, if you make monthly payments, you'll still owe $132,000 after 23 years. On the right side, you only owe $14,000 after 23 years. Okay. Now, the next one is here. So you're done at year 23 paying the property off on the right side. So 0, 0, 0 for the next 7 years. Over here, you still owe 117, 100, 83, blah, blah, blah. So that's how interest works. And I think it's important for everybody to understand, these little tips and tricks that you could do to just save more money, make more cash flow over time.
Hey, Voltaire, do you have I have a question. Do you
Sure.
Do you recommend this the biweekly payment? Because I've had clients that they mention, hey, you know what? I would like to just pay out my mortgage in 7 or 8 years or 10 years. Would you recommend just doing the biweekly and then investing the additional cash to like another property?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend doing biweekly because at the end of the day, if your mortgage payment is $2,000, like this example shows, all you're doing is you're paying the same $2,000, except you're paying $1,000 first and then another $1,000 later. So I mean, you're not really stretching any more. It's just a smart thing to do. It's smart money. And then after, let's say after 23 years, you live free and clear. You don't have a mortgage on that property. And then, all that is just profit if you're renting it out compared to the other example on the left side where you're still paying the same monthly payment every month, for 7 more years. So it's just smart money. Okay. So I wanted to show you this so I could segue into his example right here. So let's say you fast forward and he does this, right? You guys can see my screen, right? Yeah, okay. So you fast forward 25 years. It should be paid off. Year 2044, okay? Property's paid off because he did, bi-weekly payments on his 3 properties. Then at that point, he'll have future income if he rented all 3 properties and, he would have $12,000 a month future income, 12 grand a month. And that's after subtracting 25% for taxes, insurance, maintenance, everything. That's like free and clear money. Now, the value of the property, if we use 3% interest over 25 years, they'd be worth about $3 million. And it's probably more than that, but I was being super conservative. So the property's total appreciation, inflation too. So yeah, so everything is like accounted, exactly, appreciation. So everything's accounted for in there. So we're just appreciation, not even inflation. I don't think I accounted for. So these properties would be worth $3 million paid off. So he'd be a millionaire. Now I didn't calculate which year he would be a millionaire. You know, he'd probably worth $1 million, you know, year 10, I don't know. But all I know is that he has these 3 properties, being a plumber, qualifying for loans, just the good old fashioned way. He was buying, not because he was thinking investment. He was just thinking, I need a bigger place to live. I want to live next to my friend, you know? So this is a crazy example. So when he was in the audience that day and he was like, his eyes lit up, you know, and like, he went home, told his wife, dude, we're millionaires. We just got to hold on to these properties. And, you know, so it was really cool to see. And everyone could do this type of financial analysis with your properties. Okay. Any questions real quick on the plumber example?
Yeah. Do you really think the 2-bedroom, 1 bath on 43rd and Keeler is going to be worth $1 million in the year 2044?
25 years from now? Yeah. I mean, right now it's worth 450 at least. So what's that rule of thumb, Alfonso? The money doubles every how often?
Years.
Money doubles every 10 years if you put it away and invest it. In real estate, if you look at the charts in San Diego County, every 20 to 25 years, properties double their value. In real estate, investments, every 10 years, your money doubles if you invest it. 401ks, mutual funds, stocks, and bonds. That's what I'm big on, right? But real estate, if you guys look at the graph, you know, it doubles your value in about 10 to 25 years. If you guys read that book, Coach, that family bought their home in the 70s or in the 60s, I believe, for like $20-something thousand. Nowadays, real life, it's worth a lot of money. So absolutely, yes. Homes that I'm refinancing right now, like people are being inherited. Their grandparents bought it for 30 grand in the hood, and they're worth right now $500,000-$600,000. So absolutely, I think that house right there, for sure, in 20 to 30 years, is worth at least $1 million.
Yeah, and side note, 2 of these properties are in the opportunity zone. You know, we talked about the opportunity zone, opportunity funds, what's happening there. You know, the tax benefits are through 2048, the year 2048. So what happens in opportunity zones? The values go up because developers come in and they take these tax incentives, and these guys are going to make a lot of money via tax law who are investing in opportunity zones. And just by default, his properties are in there. So his values are going to go up because what do they say? High tide rises all boats.
Yep.
So that's kind of, yeah. I mean, believe it or not, I mean, I want to say I wouldn't pay $1 million for that property, but who knows, man. All right. Good question. All right. Let's go to the next one. This is a friend of mine, finance job, single guy. He bought his first condo 2009 for $225. It was a condo, East County, 1 bedroom. Then he refinanced it a few years later, pulled out 50 grand from this property. With that money, he partnered up with his dad, bought 2 more condos, 25% down each. Condo number 2, 156, he bought it for. Condo number 3, 205. He cash flowed on each one after paying taxes, principal, interest, tax, insurance, and HOA. He cash flowed $200 per month. He was loving it. He was like, man, this is great. I love being a property owner. Like, you know, he thought that was like really good. And then that's when I started talking to him about, you know, real estate. And then he said, man, okay. So he sold his first condo. He said, man, that sounds really good. So he sold his first condo 3 years later and bought a duplex for $525, 25% down. So after adding value and fixing it up, he's cash flowing $900 just off one property. So he went from, generating $200 from one condo, buying a duplex with that same money, and then he cash flowed at $900. Right now it's probably more. This is a little bit over a year old. So
and then he
that
made
shows
the mistake. Then he made the big mistake.
Okay, so then he got married, right? so he got married. But he did it a smart way, right? His wife had a condo herself. You know, she wasn't no slouch. And then she refinanced, cashed out. So she did like the refinance out of her condo, and she bought a duplex for $496, and then she cash flows $800 a month, right? And then after that, they bought a single family home together that they reside in for $800,000 in a $1 million neighborhood. Now, yeah, that property is worth a lot more now. So, you know, 139,000 gross rents, $11,000 a month. So the values of the properties today, all their properties, $3 million. And this doesn't count like any mortgage that they have. That's like the gross value, and those are the gross rents. But this is to tell you, like, hey, look at, they do the biweekly pay downs. 23 years from now, they'll have this, you know, cash flow coming in if they don't even make any more moves. Or no, fast forward. No, this is today gross. Fast forward 25 years from now, they'll be $24,000 a month. Their properties will be worth 25 years from now, $6.3 million. That's $18,000 a month in income. It's pretty wild, right? Just projecting out. And I'm not even like really like the you know, everything, you know how San Diego is. I mean, I don't think any of us could predict what happened, you know, the last few years as far as values and rents where they're at right now. Rents are crazy. You know, I'm getting $2,200 to $2,600 in the hood on 2-bedroom houses. So
let me ask you something, Voltaire. You're talking about rent. To put this in perspective, have you ever seen or heard? I mean, I know you do property management. You're pretty well versed in that, and investor. I've never heard of rents going down ever in history. Values may come down, right? Recessions and whatnot and so forth. But have really rents ever gone down in history?
Honestly, I don't know that answer, but I would guess no.
I can,
even during
I can add a
recession.
little color to that if you like.
Yes, please.
So I financed apartment buildings for almost a decade, first with WAMU and then Chase. And then the late 80s, early 90s, we had a, not a national, but definitely a state, pretty severe real estate recession. And even on bigger apartment buildings, and what I mean by bigger is probably 10 units and up, we saw foreclosures in the market here in San Diego County. And I'm not saying this because I'm that old, but some of my clients were lucky enough to buy, you know, 10 plexes for $200,000 at that point in time. And so there were other landlords who had financed these buildings, and then there were foreclosures on those buildings, right? And so now a building that was worth $500,000, all of a sudden a 10 unit was only worth $200,000. I mean, we wish we could buy these today, but we can't. And so in those instances, then the person or the new landlord who bought a foreclosed property could rent these buildings out substantially cheaper than the one who bought it for $500,000. And in that instance, so in the I'd say early 90s, starting 89 to like 94, there was some softening as far as rents go in the San Diego real estate market. So we did have a not a positive, but a negative rent growth for a number of years. But generally speaking, your assumption is right that rents year over year have risen in San Diego County, almost without exception.
Yeah.
But that period of time would be an example for the recent history where that or not so recent history where that happened.
Thank you for sharing, man.
Yeah, that's really good to know in that instance. You know, if you're projecting out to the future, you understand that in California, we're negative 100,000 housing units, negative inventory. So that means there's 100,000 households that need some type of housing. So if you look at that, and everyone just trying to build and all these things to fill the market with rentals, with homes. I mean, I don't know if ever we're going to fill that need. Therefore, if there's no inventory, it's just supply and demand, right? If there's no supply, then the demands are going to go higher, and rents should, I think, at least at minimum, stay there. That's one thing. That's one perspective to look at. This is an article from 2 years ago. San Diego County's average rent hit an all-time high in September of 1960 a month, and it's gone up since that. So 1960 a month. That's about $2,000 2 years ago. So right now it's probably a little bit higher than that. So that's the other thing is, even if they do go down, let's say worst case scenario, one thing that I'm pretty conservative, so I don't over leverage properties. I have a 60% loan to value ratio on all my properties or better. So that means that if a property is worth $500,000, my max loan amount is $300,000. So even if rents get slashed by 25%, I'm still okay. So that's a big lesson I learned from the recession, when I saw a lot of my coaches and mentors and clients that lost everything because they're over leveraged. They had almost no equity in their homes or in their properties. They're buying on speculation, or the rents weren't paying off the mortgages, or they're just kind of breaking even. So anyways, that's something else that, I learned from that I think everybody should kind of pay attention to that as well. All right. Third example, I met a client of mine several years back, 2008 to be exact. She wanted a house and somewhere to live. So I sold her a condo, 3-bedroom, 2.5 baths. She put down $9,000. Okay. Her payment was $1,550. Rent. She moved out in 2017. She called me. She goes, "Hey, she's living out in Chula Vista." She goes, "I want somewhere more central. I'm young. I just want, to walk to restaurants, stuff like that." So we said, okay. We rented her property for $1,900. She was making a $200 profit. In 2016, she sold, which told her to keep it, but she wanted to sell. She said she wanted to be a landlord during that time. And then, so anyways, in 2000, what year did she move out? So she owned it in 2008. And then in 2014, when she called me, she said she wanted to move closer to downtown. She bought a property right there in Sports Arena area, Point Loma area, a condo, small condo for $240, 1-bedroom, 1 bath, 5% down. Her payment was $2,100 a month, right? So she only put $12,000 on this one, $9,000 on this one. Again, she sold that property too. She just didn't want to be a landlord, looking back. I mean, I talked to her and she goes, "Yeah, I should have kept them," but she didn't. So anyways, she sold it for $262. Now, what that allowed her to do, okay, when she sold for $370 here and $262 here, it allowed her to parlay that money into her current residence in Mission Hills. If you guys are from San Diego, that's a really nice area. We got a fixer still for $550 in 2016, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Payment $3,300. She bought an FHA, $19,000 down. She added a bathroom and a bedroom for about $65,000. She refinanced in 2017. She took out $75,000. She used that $75,000 to add bedroom and bath. Her new monthly payment was $4,000 a month. Now, part of that remodel that cost her $65,000, she turned 1-bedroom, 1 bath into an Airbnb, like in its own private quarters. She was making $1,500 a month. So her real monthly obligation, instead of $4,000, because she has $1,500 a month coming in, it's $2,500. Her home appraised last year for $975. Total investment, 95 grand. So total equity was $328,000 that she created from a initial investment of 9 grand. So that shows you kind of how real estate works, right? How real estate works over time. And again, San Diego, it's an equity play, you know, but at any time right now, at least, she could go ahead, cash out 300 grand, which is pretty crazy, right? And this is all from, I remember the first day I met her, 2008, she called me off of Zillow, met her at the property, and I told her, hey, this is gonna be your first one. I'm gonna help you with your second and third. And she was like, no, I just want one. I'm okay. She was looking at me crazy. I was all excited for her, but anyhow, she did good. Let me see here. Young couple, they were paying $2,000 a month from rent. And they got tired of paying $2,000 a month from rent. He ended up buying a 2-on-1 FHA, 5% down. So he ended up buying a duplex in San Diego for $515,000 down payment. So he spent $25,000. His monthly payment is $3,007 a month. Each of these units you could easily rent for $1,800. So that's $3,600. So right off the bat, if he decided to move, he'll be making, keep the property, he'll be making $600 a month, you know, which is pretty crazy. He moved his parents into the back. They're paying half the rent, $1,500. He's paying the other $1,500. So he saved right off the bat $5,000 from rent that he was paying. This the guy right here, his wife. But that just gives you an example. You don't need that much money. $25,000 down. He could have bought VA, but I forgot the reason why he didn't go VA. I know there's a reason, but anyhow, I think that was a good deal. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you the first million. Okay, 2013, I bought a little beat up house, jacked up. It had a tenant that didn't want to leave, and it was out in East County, pretty much like a little druggy area. So 200,000 plus 30,000 fix up cost that I put into it. That's 230 all in. I put a down payment of 50,000 plus the fix up cost. So my total investment was 80,000. The bank put up the rest, 150. The value was 280 when I finished. So, you know, I got instant equity of $50,000, nothing crazy. I held it 2 years. Values were up, so I was able to refinance. So the bank, again, they give you 70% of whatever the value is worth. So if the value was worth 330 at that time, they lent me 231. So 231, I paid off my 150 loan balance, and I put $81,000 in my pocket. This 81,000 signifies the first 80,000 that I spent up here. Does that make sense? So I basically just pulled my money out. That's all I did. I just said, hey, give me my money back, and I'm $0 into this deal at this point. Question? No? Okay.
Is this you?
A couple years later. Was that?
Is this you? You talking
This
about
is me.
yourself?
Yes. Okay. All right. Second deal, a house in near downtown Logan. Bought it for $235. It was a piece of crap, like really bad. Put 40 grand into it. All in, I'm in it for $275. The down payment was $46,000. So I took the down payment from the $81,000 I pulled from house number 1. Okay. So I put $46,000 down. I got a loan from the bank for $184. And then my total investment was $86,000 into this home. So $46,000 for down payment, $40,000 for the fix up. So the bank, remember, they only gave me $81,000. So I had to bring in $5,000 out of my own pocket. Not bad. $86,000. Okay. That's house number 2. The value at that time was $330. Now I held house number 2 for 2 years before I refinanced. Now it's worth $370. I refinanced at 75% loan to value. So they gave me $90,000. So basically they gave me my same money that I reinvested 2 years earlier, $86,000. Does that make sense? So they gave me $90,000. Now, so in 2016, with that 90,000, let me see here. I bought this house, 239 in the hood, jacked up, same thing, 30,000 into it, 269 all in, my all in investment. The down payment was 47,000. Again, I'm buying properties with 20% down. The loan amount was 191. Total investment, 77,000. Now that was zero out of pocket because I got 90,000 from this property. The value was 340 at that time. So in 2016, looks like I sold, no, I didn't even sell this house. I sold house number one. So 2016, I sold house number one. Then I bought a fourplex with that money. So the fourplex was 630, was super messed up. Spent 125,000 in rehab. I'm in it for 755. After I finished rehabbing it, got tenants in there and all that stuff, I refinanced. So I pulled that money out of this property. And they gave me all my money back except for $30,000. So now I have $30,000 into this fourplex. So they gave me 725 back. So I'm in it for 30,000, which is cool. Now the equity as of today, I don't own house number one anymore, right? But house number two is worth equity, like straight up equity, 300 grand. House number three, 300 grand equity. And then house number one that turned into house number four, which is the fourplex, 400,000 equity. So that was the first million in equity that I could kind of like trace and give you guys back. Now, what do you do with $1 million in equity? Right now, going back to Monopoly, you could upgrade to a hotel, right? So you could get that $1 million, right, by selling all three properties. Then you buy a 10-unit apartment complex or 8-unit or whatever for $2 million by putting 50% down, right? By the way, on these three houses right now, the gross monthly profit after paying taxes, insurance, a mortgage payment, everything except maintenance is almost $5,000, $4,959, right? And that's just like an example of the first 3 deals that turned into that years later, obviously. But that was when I was started getting on a roll and I started saying, okay, I'm going to just keep doing this over and over and over. So that's that example. Again, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. In these examples, you'll notice that like with all my clients, basically, it didn't start off that way. It was just like, I just need a place to live. In my situation, I was like, well, I just want a rental, then another one. Then I started figuring out like, oh shoot, I'm using the same $80,000 over and over and over. And then once I started figuring that out, it got a lot easier. So I'm going to give you guys a couple must-haves before we call it. Here's a must-have: being a successful real estate investor. Living below your means, okay? Best advice people that own property tell me is to buy a multifamily property to live in. And these guys shop at Ross, not at Nordstrom's, right? Number 2, qualifying income. You need 2 years of income showing that you pay taxes. The more income, the better. Patience. Maybe several years go by before prices go up. And then the last one is discipline. These examples are of people who aren't big spenders. They're very disciplined. They're very humble people. My client friend who owns $1 million house in Mission Hills, has $300,000 in equity. I mean, she's very humble. I never see any name brands on her or anything like that. Same goes with the plumber, for sure. So the finance guy that I shared with you that started off with one condo and then multiplied it, and I mean, the biggest name brand I see on him is Nike. So it could be done. It's a long-term game, and again, it's like nobody in here is a genius. None of these examples, not even close. So no offense to them, just keeping it real. Cool. Any questions before we call it? No? All right, cool. Well, thank you for your time tonight. I know it's late. You guys got stuff to do. And if you have any questions or if you want a free copy of the book, reach out to us, reach out to your favorite Lepe Tendwell property agent, and we will go ahead and send you a copy. And then the last thing I want to plug our next workshop. Our next workshop, we're going to be talking about how to flip your own home. So we're going to talk about, you know, how to choose contractors, you know, how to, what type of work you should be doing, etc. So we're going to be doing that October 27th, Tuesday, 6:30 on Zoom. October 27th, 6:30 on Zoom. And then the following one after that is first-time buyers, how to buy your first home. So it's going to be November 10th, 6:30. So if you need a calendar invite or anything like that, just reach out to us and then we'll help you out. So thanks everyone for joining. We'll see each other soon. Peace out.
Thanks for hosting. This was great. Thanks for
Thank you. Good information. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Alfonso.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks for
Take
coming,
care, guys.
everybody I invited.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. All right. See ya. Take care.
Bye, Christy, Sabino, Johnny.
Later, Tony, man. I know it's late over there.
Okay,
What is
bye.
it, 10:30?
It was worth staying up for, man. I appreciate it. It was worth staying up for. Yeah.
All right,
I'm
for sure,
getting
man.
tired.
And I can see you're like slapping
Yeah.
water in your face.
I was up since like 4:30 this morning, so like it was a long day today.
All right, cool. Well,
I think most
take
people
care.
are-
Have a good night.
Most people from the West Coast, huh?
West Coast 7:38. All right, Brandon.
Are most people there from the West
All
Coast?
right. Thanks, Voltaire.
Oh, hit
Appreciate
me
you.
up. Hit me up. Yeah, for sure, Brandon. All right, Tony. Yeah, hit me up when you're out here. All right, bye,
Okay, I
Sabina.
will.
Take care. Bye.
All
Bye,
right.
Christy.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Later,
Bye,
Gio. Bye.